Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dodge Race video. And today we're going to be playing Ride 4 once again. And we're here in Monza on board the Triumph 675. Now here in Monza, it's a very long track with a sense of great amount of speed and hard braking zones. So if you're looking for a tutorial on braking, I would advise for you to go and check out my video first before watching this video. But this is the Super License in career mode. One of my comments, which as you can see on screen now, asked me to take a look at the one, especially the one with the BMW and Interlagos. I will cover this in this video, because he wasn't kidding, it's actually quite tough. But we'll get to that in a bit. But on board the Triumph 675, a really pleasant bike to use, smooth throttle control and great brakes. I was really impressed with how well the brakes worked on this bike. Of course it's a naked as well, so it's not actually a proper sports super bike. But I was very impressed with how it handled, and usually I don't tend to play with a naked bike so much, so it was a pleasure to actually use this for a change. Still rocking the Scott Redding helmet with the black Alpine Stars leathers, with I believe the Lorenzo boots. Probably change it again the next couple of videos. I like changing it up every now and again. That's why I have no credits left on the game. But that is the first one complete. We passed. I think we passed with shining colours, if I see in a moment. We did, by over 2.5 seconds. That is how you get it done. So the next one, it's going to be the gates, the speed trap gates on board the MV Agusta. I can't remember which one it was, unfortunately. I think we're in Canto, one of the road circuits. Now, usually I'm not a fan of the road circuits. Whenever I used to play Ride, or I used to play any sort of games like this, I much prefer circuits, Grand Prix, and just general tracks, like championship tracks, etc. I love the speed traps. I think the speed traps are great. This one was relatively difficult. I kept making a few mistakes in the first couple of corners. Just little silly ones where I'd accidentally hit the barriers, or I'd hit the wall and launch myself off into oblivion. But I'm only going to show you the completed run, of course, because it just slows the pace down if I weren't to include those, and it doesn't make me look pro. I'm only kidding. So on this one, the front tyre actually gets relatively warm. It doesn't get over warm, like too hot, but it seems to be okay. The rear tyre stays fine all the way through it, not a problem at all. I really enjoy using the Brutale 800, I think it is. Brutale? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, the MV Agusta we'll call it. And that is it. We absolutely nailed that one by about 3.5 seconds. So here we go again. This time on board the Yamaha Rd 500, I think it's called. A bike that came out long before I was born, let me tell you. And this bike is a beast. I absolutely loved it. This is the track day one. So you have to try and pass as many riders in the allotted time. So you got 2.5 minutes. We don't even need to use that much, honestly, because we get the 20 pretty easily. I think I did this on my second go. Really, really pleasant bike to use, actually, as a matter of fact. This is the same track, of course, but in the wet. So throttle control was a little bit more imperative. Trying not to push too far and push too hard. I did get hit with a stupid penalty on this one, not on this particular lap, before I actually achieved the gold. It gave me a really weird penalty. I just literally went onto one of the corners, a bit like the endurance one yesterday I did, where I went wide in a corner and it gave me penalty time. I still don't understand that, but yeah, it's one of those things. But this one, with the track days, it's basically like the AI is on the easiest difficulty, so you can just glide past these guys. Honestly, it's not even hard. The only difficult part is when you're trying to follow them, like that collision just there. You're trying to follow them as if they were racing the same speed. So when you go to brake, you realise that they brake extremely early, and it's very easy to knock into the back of them or clip the side of them. So you have to be careful of that one. It's something I always made the mistake someone utilising this mode in the past. I always end up bumping them or going too close to them. Rubbing is racing, of course, so it's not the end of the world. But it's the end of the world when you fall off and can't complete the challenge. So this track, as far as road circuits go, I actually really like this one. It's kind of nice. I don't even know if you would call it a road circuit, because technically it's just a street circuit then, I guess, maybe? As we come up to 3 riders here, it gets a bit tight. But I'm going to try and cut through them all, and then dive up at the inside of the next one. I wasn't sure if he was going to try and lean in on me, So I decided to take it a little bit steady and then work my way out of that corner. But as we're coming up to the final corner, and this will start the next lap, which I wasn't sure at first if this would be the end of it. And then of course I realised that you have the 2.5 minutes allotted time. So I'm going to go a lovely braking move then, a lovely overtake. As it's about 2:30 at 26 degrees here in Japan. I'm going to hold the throttle just gently around this corner. You have to be very careful in that corner because it's easy to over throttle or to even brake too hard. Don't trail brake in that corner if you can. It's only slightly, I would say, just gently. As we're going to get this guy around the outside almost. Well, I did try and line it up. Yeah, I guess you can still say that's going around the outside, can't you? We just basically got him on the straight, so still counts. It's back to where we started, pretty much. And we're going to dive up on the inside. I think, yeah, the next one I actually could collide with this guy, but we got past, so it's a win. As you can see here, he's going to just slow in the corner. Bang! So here we are in Ollerton Park, in the darkness on a night in England. At 8 o'clock, 20 degrees temperature. On board the Honda VTR 1000. I tell you what, I love this bike, I love this track. I love European British tracks, they're absolutely brilliant. The Asia ones and the America tracks, I'm not so good at. The only mistake I made on this was my very first attempt at this, and that was turn 2 in Denton's. I went a little bit wide and touched the grass, and it kicked me off straight away. It said I failed. So, second attempt, which is this one. It's literally all guns, all blazing, all going out. But as I say, I love this track and I love this bike. I will 100% be purchasing this bike on the on Ride 4 when I get the credits. I don't have much credits at the moment. I've been spending... I keep buying loads of customization, like leathers and stuff. I like changing it up every other time, or at least every night I play. But what a great track. It's so good to see classic British Superbike tracks on these games. So Ollerton Park, Cadwell, Brands Hatch, brilliant British tracks. It's great to see, and I hope my passion is well and truly on display here because I love British tracks. They're so good, and European tracks in general. Catalonia, Jerez, Imola, Monza, Mugello, just brilliant tracks. European, this side of the country, this side of the world, sorry, we make good tracks. We definitely make good tracks. I love it. Rounding out the final couple of corners, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a breeze to do this time attack. I could probably do this again and again and again. You know what, maybe comment down below if you want to see a video of me tackling time trial mode on Ollerton Park or some of the British tracks, because I really love the British tracks. Here we are, Interlagos on the BMW S1000RR. We have the speed traps to contend with. And Red Phoenix, you're the one who suggested this, and I tell you what, you were right, it is quite difficult. The only difficult about it is for making sure that you brake upon coming close to the speed trap, which caught me out a few times. I think it even catches me out in this one. It's actually quite difficult, but not too difficult. I still managed to do it in my 4th attempt. But I really enjoyed this one. Interlagos is, for me, it's not really a bike track. It's much better on F1 and for the cars. But I really enjoyed this. The added difficulty with the rain, because something really annoying happened to me last night when I was recording this. Is that although of course I just hit one of the actual barriers here, the rain got there's a bubble right to the left, just above the actual bike. To the left, there's one big ass bubble. I'm going to zoom in on it so you can see it. That one there caught me out. It caught me off guard twice, because in the first couple of corners, that bubble of water was sitting on the speed trap, and I was aiming at it, and then it moved ever so slightly, and I moved straight into the actual barrier, and it gave me 0.5 of a second penalty time. But also I wanted to mention, if you're still stuck on this Red Phoenix, if you look at the penalty time, at the end of this, even including that penalty time, we absolutely smash it. So I would say you can risk bumping into the barriers or even potentially missing a few barriers if it will save you time for the rest of the race, or rest of the session, should I say. So just bear that in mind. and take your time with it. But if you need any more assistance, let me know, and of course I will look into this further and do a further guide. So Ride, heard you like Interlagos. So there you go again, Interlagos once more. On board the Ducati Panigale V4, an absolutely gorgeous machine. One of the best bikes the world has ever seen. I swear to God, I love the Ducati Panigale V4, as if you can't tell already. But here in Interlagos, it's one of the track days again. We need to make 9 passes, or about 2.5 minutes. This was extremely easy. No issues for me so far. Not that I expected any, because the only time I struggle is when you are forced to adhere to a certain racing line. I think I veer off the racing line a few times, and I like to brake very aggressively. And sometimes the racing lines don't depict that you're going to be aggressive. They expect you to be smooth and following the paths. So I was a little bit out of shape there, as I almost fell off actually. But again, as I mentioned with Interlagos, it's not my favourite track. I do like the track, I think it's very good. I found it a little bit difficult with the bikes, as I say, it was much easier on F1. I'm not the greatest of F1 either, because obviously that's why I'm making bike videos and not F1 guides. I mean, if you want to see that, then I've got a great friend who's good at F1, so I'll just get him to send me all his clips. He's built a PC now, so we're going to take his clips. He's the fastest Polish driver the world ever did see. You're bound to be in the comment section down below, so shout out to you, my friend. So here, we absolutely nail 3 overtakes there, and that just absolutely blasts straight through. Just because of that moment itself, and then getting them on the brakes, this challenge is an absolute doddle if you can just stay within range. Easy peasy. So here we are for the final challenge of the Super License on board the Kawasaki H2R 2019 version, right here in Portimao. An absolutely fantastic track. Again, as I mentioned earlier, European track, of course. Superbikes obviously ride here a lot, and I used to ride on this track quite often on World Superbike X and World Superbike Generations. Those were my games when I was starting to really get into motorbikes. So this bike is actually really deceiving. It is extremely fast and its acceleration is phenomenal, but the brakes are extremely poor. I found that braking on this was really difficult. I didn't feel confident on the bike at all. If I was racing online with this one, I'd be pretty nervous about overtaking. Against the AI, probably not. But I found it to be very flimsy on the brake. It's not strong. But something I will mention in this video is, of course I made the throttle guide and the tutorial for that. This is a great track to learn the throttle, because especially with a bike like the Kawasaki Ninja H2R, you have to be extremely gentle on those undulation corners. So when it's ascending upwards, or if it's even going down, you have to make sure you're only using a little bit of throttle, because this bike likes to wheelie. It really does. And even in the final corner, you have to make sure that those both wheels are planted before you put the acceleration on. If you really try and accelerate fast in these corners, it will not end well. A final reminder, I would say, is to definitely practice the throttle on these sort of tracks. Anything that sort of lifts the front wheel up, generally because of the nature of the track, is your best bet. But that concludes the challenges of the Super Licenses. Probably took me about half an hour or so, not very long. Really good, had a blast. We absolutely nailed the time on that one. Thank you very much for watching as always. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. And here is our final prize, the MV Agusta Brutale 800. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you next time. Ciao for now.